Hi guys, and welcome to the Lowland League catch-up. It's myself, Rampant FM, and I'm joined by Mozza. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. How's you?
Yeah, good. And we also have Shaun Spedding. How are you doing, Shaun?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks very much for having me on, guys.
No, it's all right. We're obviously going to be covering the Lowland League and whatnot, but I just have to ask you, Mozza, who was BSC's Twitter guy this week? Craig Levine?
Oh dear, here we go.
Yeah. So who was it? Was it Michael or?
It was Michael. Was looking after the Twitter.
Oh, interesting. Well, to be honest, it's not really banter, really. I had mixed reaction to the tweet. I can take criticism myself, obviously, but one club calling another club's class into question is a bit too Premier League drama for me. You know what I mean? When I do Twitter, I'm supporting the team, and that's my outlook on it. It doesn't matter if it's Kelty or any other team. But obviously, my question is, why was BSC more concerned with Kelty's Twitter? Shouldn't they be looking above rather than below, and maybe just concentrating on their own game?
That's one way of looking at it.
And funny enough, Mozza, there was no other comment. I didn't see any Whitehill fan or anyone taking offence apart from BSC. One of the reasons we don't tend to talk about things like finance and dramas and all that sort of stuff is, because it's not in the best interests of basically what we try and promote the league, and that's just on the end of football, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's why I think you're reading a wee bit too much, because if it's just one wee comment about you've said, we've no scored in 10 minutes, and they've just made a wee kind of comment on it. So I don't think it's really pushing into the whole financy stuff and all that. But hey, it's one of these things, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, and that wasn't me speaking for Kelty, obviously. That was just my personal opinion.
We should put this out there that is us speaking as us.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's well known. Obviously, I'm doing the Kelty's Twitter on match day. But yeah, I just had to know, because I got on with Michael, I got on with you and everyone, but I just thought that was a wee bit for me it wasn't banter, and that's why I'm sort of defending it on here. I know there is a few boys that took it the wrong way, but I think it's probably one of them things, especially on the likes of club Twitters, where if you're Kelty you would love it, but if you're anyone else you'd probably think maybe similar to BSC, I guess.
It's social media, isn't it?
Yep. So we'll get into we'll get into the football. No East Stirling shirt this week. We'll start with Friday's game, Spartans versus Gallifreydine Rovers. It ended 2-0 to Spartans at Ainsley Park. 25 minutes, a Blair Tommy bag buster from close range put them 1-0 ahead. Spartans did have a penalty shout before the end of the first half, but really, Spartans Twitter guy, if tonight's first half was a cartoon character, he put a picture of Scrappy Doo, so yeah, it says a lot there. Lots of chances for Spartans in the second half, but it took to the 76th minute. Spartans doubled their lead. Outstanding play by Stephen McDonald up the line. He delivers a tricky ball. The keeper can only palm it into the foot of Jack Smith, who taps home from a yard. And another win for Spartans. Another decent win to keep the form going.
Like you guys, I had a bit of social media banter with myself with regards to every game being a game of the week. This was the one that stood out to me, which I thought was quite funny. So I was in London last week, so I couldn't go. I was flying back on the Friday night. But if I wasn't, I think this is a game I would have been at. I could have saw it going one of two ways. Spartans, they've racked up a lot of goals in a few of their recent games. I thought it could have been a thriller in that sense. And I think everybody knows you can't write Gala off even going to Ainsley Park. I wouldn't have been surprised to have seen an upset. It ended up just being a respectable 2-0 winner. But yeah, it was the game that stood out for me.
You'll probably know, and anyone else listening will probably know, that I've been quite a backer of Gala this year. I think they've done good work in the close season, bringing in a decent squad, and it's finally kind of got to the point where, as you say, they can do something in any game they play. Which is a huge step forward for them for the last time round. But I was quite similar to yourself, Shaun. Obviously you've got to give Spartans the kind of favourite tag when they're at home, because it's so hard to come away with Ainsley Park with something. But the 2-0 result seems to have been pretty much agreed by everyone that was there that's spoken about it, was a fair enough result. And Jack Smith keeps banging him in. So I noticed yourself, Rampant, you'd put a tweet out saying, "Oh, you're kind of still chasing that golden boot," essentially, because ever since he's come back, he's injury knock, he's been right back into it, hasn't he? He's
absolutely, yeah.
Like, obviously Spartans have really missed him when he's been out, because that's what he does. He just puts the ball in the back of the net, and it's the most valuable thing you can have in a team.
We'll move on. Do you want to cover the BSC Glasgow game? You were there, Mozza, weren't you?
Well, I never made it in the end.
You're joking.
No, because if anyone follows me on Twitter, cheap plug, unfortunately public transport let me down and it just didn't turn up, so I never made it to the game. I was standing waiting for about 45 minutes in a bus that never blooming arrived. But less said about the reliability of Mackie's, and moving on to the game itself. It was a routine enough result, 3-0, BSE overcoming Gretna, and started off 13th minute. The ball was crossed in by Jamie Mills from the left, a low ball, and Ewan O'Reilly on his debut, another one of the St Johnstone young crop. He'd started off having a couple of decent chances and he got a goal right there. And then it was just kind of nip and tuck from there on, until just about 20 minutes left to go and BSC put the game on ice just as Gretna began to tire. Another Jamie Mills cross, and Martin Green scored what's been described as a stunning strike. I'm waiting to see the video of it, but I'm reliably informed that it's a goal of the season contender from some of the guys that were there. Tam was saying about it on Twitter. And then the killer blow 2 minutes later, and it was yet another Jamie Mills cross. He was just causing all sorts of issues for Gretna. Tamor, who had just came off the bench for Green, headed it. Keeper made a decent save, but Cammy Ballantyne was on hand to stick the ball into the empty net afterwards. And one thing that's played Gretna this season came up 15 minutes left. They got another red card. They've had a fair few of them this season, and this time it was Daniel Wadge. He gave up possession to the aforementioned Ewan O'Reilly and just dragged him down. Basically, he realised his mistake, made a professional foul, signed yellow off the pitch, and it's something that I suppose Gretna might be a bit concerned about, because it seems to be quite regular when they go a couple of goals down and the game might be beyond them. They seem to pick up these red cards quite often, and it's I don't know if it's a mentality thing or if it's just one of these coincidences, but yeah, it's something that kind of needs to be looked at, given it's happened a fair few times.
Definitely agree, Mozza. Obviously, I think it might have been again against Kelty, but I remember saying that I was really impressed with Jamie Mills, and he just seems to go strength to strength, especially for BSC this season. Another fantastic win for BSC, and the run goes on as well. So yeah, pretty comprehensive result against Gretna, I would say.
I'd agree. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Jamie Mills, he was all over. He was all over the game by the sounds of it. I think if you're crossing balls, the team tends to pay a bit of attention to that. So to then go and continue doing it for the whole game, and in the end, 3 goals for 3 crosses.
Yep,
it's impressive stuff.
When you've got a guy at this level with his kind of pace, he's probably the fastest guy in the league. You're just going to cause issues for any right back, because even if you've got a wee bit of speed about you, there's no way you're catching him. So if he gets round you, all he has to do is basically kind of knock it past you and run round the outside, and it causes all sorts of issues if he's crossing us on form like it was yesterday.
We'll get into Cumbernauld Colts versus Edinsport Academy. It was a 2-2 draw. 20 minutes played. Stephen O'Neill threads a ball through to Sean Brown, who slots in at the keeper's near post. 5 minutes later, Edinsport were back level. Cross into the box, not collected by the keeper, who palms down for Ross McNeil to nick in and tap home. Second half, 67 minutes played. It was a defensive mix-up that lets Edinsport get their lead with Ross McNeil scoring yet another goal. 78 minutes, Fraser team brings Colts back level from the spot after Sean Brown was fouled in the box. Going by form, it's a really decent point for Edinsport, especially at Broadwood.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think the teams the thing I took away from this game is that both teams perhaps haven't been able to maintain the consistency. So a 2-2 is probably a decent result, but you would think that Colts would have liked to have taken 3 points from this one, especially since they were playing home.
Yeah, it's they've had a real weird run of results, Cumbernauld Colts, and I do kind of feel that we jinxed them, Rampant, because we had the chat about how coming towards the end of the season they do tend to fall off, and whether they could kind of get that tag banished once and for all, but it looks like they're kind of playing up to it again. But Edusport, I'm inclined to give them a bit of credit here as well. Yeah, again, when you look at kind of how the game's gone, McNeil, again, on loan for East Kilbride, has managed to get the ball in the net for them. It's been a cracking loan signing. And it's like they'll be disappointed not to go home with 3 points, ultimately. But at least from the Colts' point of view, you can say they kept fighting and they managed to get that goal right at the death. It shows the guys haven't given up. Like, I guess normally the phrase would be that they're kind of on the beach already. Don't know if there are any beaches in Cumbernauld, but either they're clearly still fighting away. You know, just it's two sides that I'd put a relatively the same level just now, and a draw seems as if it was a fair result.
We all kind of missed the next fixture. None of us chose it as match of the week, but it does have big implications for top four and certainly relegation. I would suggest Dalbeattie versus Civil Service Strollers. Civil Service Strollers won 4-3. Bit of a classic, a bit of a fight back from Civil as well. Jordan Hopkinson fires Civil ahead after 8 minutes. 4 minutes later, it's all level after a perfectly placed strike by Conor Graham was hit low into the corner of the net. 17 minutes played, Scott Milliken gives Start the lead from the penalty spot, and 10 minutes before half-time, Dalbeattie go 3-1 up from a Civil own goal. 5 minutes after the break, Craig Newells pulls one back with a cross which is ended up in the back of the net. And just after the hour mark, Scott Clapperton levels the game after getting on the end of a cross. He prodded the ball into the net from close range. And Civil, to win the game, Ross Guthrie came off the bench and fires Civil ahead at the third time of asking to make it 4-3 Civil. An absolute classic game. It sounded like people that were at Islecroft on Saturday got value for money, but obviously very disappointing and perhaps frustrating for Dalbeattie.
We'll get into what the Dalbeattie Star reaction was later on then, but I owe you apology, Star fans, because when it was 3-2, I put a tweet out not 1 minute before Civil Service scored the equaliser saying, if Star hold on, that's Whitehill Welfare relegated and fair play. So I totally jinxed you. Sorry about that. But no, absolute, well, like you say, a bit of a classic, mate. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm going to call you out on this because I'm pretty sure I did mention it as possibly one of the games of the week. Albeit I said that about every game this week, as I normally do. But no, it seems to be the same kind of story recurring with Dalbeattie at the minute, that they're doing enough to get themselves in a position to get a point or get 3 points, and it's just falling through at the death. And they're not really getting the rub of the green just now. And for them to take a Stroller side that have been bang on form and doing all sorts in the league to the wire, they'll be really, really disappointed not to get something out of that, because they've obviously played very well to put themselves in the position initially. But fair play to Civil, because they've done it again. They always seem to just do enough, and their season just gets better and better. The campaign that Gary Jardin's led them through has been absolutely first class.
Absolutely, Mozza. And I know David Churchill had a bit of a comment for us on the Twitter, but I kind of agree with him. I think we're maybe not giving the team as much credit as we are the manager. They're absolutely doing fantastic. The boys there are, experienced at this level, and they're every right to be, in top four. Obviously, Spartan's coming on a wee bit now, so it's going to be hard for them. But certainly they're keeping up the pressure, and Shout out to the guys. I think we were a wee bit giving too much credit to well, maybe not too much credit to the manager, but certainly maybe not praising the team enough. But certainly one of the reasons we're going over to Civil Mozza, as I mentioned, because they're a good team. Obviously, they're going to be playing Stirling Uni when we head over, which we'll probably shout out later, obviously. But it's certainly a team that I would happily go and watch every week.
Yeah, it was a fair comment from Churchy, and like you say, part of the reason that we're doing this kind of catch-up meet-up at the Civil game is I don't think we do give the players enough credit, but we kind of need to go and see them in person to be able to do so, because it's all very well as kind of saying, aye, this person scored or that person scored, but without seeing them in the flesh, it's really hard to give credit where it's due. So no, like I say, it's a fair enough comment for Church, and that's why we're coming. So just make sure you guys perform when we're there, please. And we'll be more than happy to sing your praises.
Yep. There was a wee bit of a comment made from Dalbeattie Star. Usually, as I mentioned earlier, Mozza, I'm not into the big, drama things, but as Dalbeattie posted it, we obviously have to give it a wee bit of recognition. They posted on Facebook as quotation marks, if you will. As Star pushed for an equaliser, there was an almighty skirmish just outside the Strollers technical area. An unused Civil substitute twice left the area, twice entered the field of play, and twice prevented Star from taking a free kick. As you can imagine, all hell broke loose and the player was yellow carded, but two Dalbeattie Star players, Alan Jenkins and Richie Maxwell, were shown reds. They commented that the story doing the rounds after the match was that the Strollers substitute was just one booking away from serving a suspension, and his booking was deliberate. If true, this could have serious repercussions, but does not. Obviously, it doesn't help Star, who will have two players suspended for next week. They did say, however, if this is just a story that has grown arms and legs and way off the mark, they'll obviously edit the comment. I think in terms of deliberate bookings and stuff, we've seen it certainly at higher levels and stuff, but it's really hard to prove. Really, I mean, the player could just say, "Oh well," I don't really know having not been at the game, what's really went on there. But obviously, Dalbeattie certainly really disappointed with what's went on before the equaliser.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems a really bizarre one, doesn't it? Like, a guy who's probably got his big puffer jacket on the bench, just going onto the field twice, just to kick the ball away or whatever and stop the free kick. Because, well, there's no saying that the referee's not going to send you off for doing that.
Yeah.
So if it was trying to get a deliberate booking, it's a right big risk he's taking. And the other flip side of that, if you want to play devil's advocate, is that the two Star boys have clearly far overreacted and they've got themselves sent off. If they'd kept ahead, they wouldn't have been given red cards. Yeah. So it's a difficult one. Like, you can understand that if he's incited that and he's done anything to incite it, he probably should have been off as well. But without being there and seeing it, it's a tough one to to talk through. But what do you think, Shaun?
I think he's again hit the nail on the head. I think it can be difficult to prove, but the fact that he was an unused substitute and he kept coming on, if this is true, I think it could be quite interesting to see how it unfolds over the next few weeks. And the two Star boys, they've gone and interjected themselves into that situation. Whatever the thoughts behind civil service substitute doing that, fine, but they didn't need to get themselves involved. So if they've got a card, they've only got themselves to hold responsible for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I understand it correctly, the league can take retrospective action, can't they?
I think so, yeah.
So as long as it's, I don't even know if it's meant to be in the referee's report or not, but I'm sure the league, if there is any concerns, they can investigate that and impose a suspension if the guy has done it deliberately. And as you say, it's going to be a nightmare to prove anything if it is the case, but it just seems such a high risk thing for somebody to try and get a booking. Why wouldn't you bring him off the bench and just get him to put a bad tackle on? Yeah. A Sergio Ramos style tackle, if you will.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how it unfolds over the next week or so.
I think it's obviously disheartening for for Dalby, because they're going to be missing them players in a pretty much still a relegation battle. Despite what Whitehill are doing or whatever, they're still having to pick up points just to make sure of it. It's one of the odder ones this season, Mozza. I don't think we've had many sort of events or any sort of that I remember anyway. Any this sort of thing happening, or a club's pretty much came out and said this sort of thing this season. I might be wrong about that.
No, there's not been too much. The only other one I can think of was when Dalbeattie went away to Kelty, and there was a few people chatting about the money and all that kind of thing, but there's not been really anything on the park as such that's been kind of like major stramashes or whatever. It's been a pretty well mannered season.
Up until now.
Up until now.
It's all kicking off now. As I said, mate, as long as we didn't get as bad as the Premier League or whatever you want to call it. Oh, God. No. We'll move on from that, but yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but we obviously had to highlight it because the club have came out and said it, and again, none of us were at the game, so we don't know exactly what's went on. To tell you the truth, I don't even know what civil player was involved. The only reason I'm mentioning the Dalbeattie players is because it was in the post, basically, so...
Well, it's obviously been enough for them to put something out there for it, yeah.
Yeah, there's something happened anyway, so... Getting into East Kilbride versus Edinburgh University, 3-0 win, pretty much as expected at K Park. There's not really... 23 minutes played, and David Proctor plants the ball into the bottom left corner, brilliantly assisted by Paul Woods. Just before half-time, it was David Proctor with his second of the day, finishing a rebound after a good save from the Edinburgh Uni keeper. And a minute later, goal to Kilby, 3-0. It's that man again, it's Craig Malcolm, and to be honest, it's Kilby doing the business at K Park early on, getting the win. So there's not really much else to say. They're just marching on to the title, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a bog standard finish for East Kilbride. One of the things I've been following quite closely is when they're going to actually reach that point where they win the league title, and it's something that I looked into before coming on here today. If you think Kelty can still reach 66 points, they'd have to win out, including 2 games against East Kilbride to do that, which, well, they haven't played yet, but East Kilbride look on fire, of course. If you take that into consideration, East Kilbride essentially need 8 points. They're playing against Eddie Sport and Colts in their next 2 games, which means their third game, where they'd essentially win the title, is against the Spartans, which I think that's quite an interesting twist on their race towards that title, that they could essentially lift the cup at the current holders.
That's a really interesting twist, isn't it? If that's the way it can all shakes out, because basically Spartans would be fighting to just keep their hands on it for one more week. Exactly,
and they have both played each other outside the league this season, and they've all taken, I don't know the exact results off the top of my head, but I know Spartans haven't been beaten in all those games.
Yeah.
So they'll be looking to do something similar. But that would be those guys lifting that cup, having never played Kelty and only played BSC once, because that's their last 3 games. So it would be quite interesting to see how that unfolds.
And I think that we're making the assumption East Kilbride are winning this league, aren't we? So basically, I think the fact that they're going to face Kelty twice and BSC in their last 3 is going to keep them sharp, and it's going to really help them going into the playoffs. Because if you're facing a couple of teams that, it might be a kind of assumption to make, but if they're mid-table or further down the table, they might already have their minds on the summertime. They're not really in it. You can take your foot off the gas a wee bit and then get caught cold when the games come round in the playoffs. So I think that'll really help them, the way it's all kind of going to run through. And it probably also helps the fact that Albion Rovers are now winless in 8 and they're barely scoring any goals, so they've got a right chance and a right focus there. If they get through there, they'll basically fancy themselves to get past them and get up. But it's a typical Kilby win. Getting back to the game itself, they've done the job professionally, very little fuss. They've got the kind of 2-3 goal cushion and they've seen it out, and they just keep marching on. That's basically their MO at this point, isn't it?
Massive shout out to David Proctor, 2 goals. He's been one of the signings for me of the season for East Kilbride. Adds a wee bit more experience at the back, and their clean sheets, they don't lie. Their defence has been by far the best in the league this season, as well as giving credit to the boys going forward like Craig Malcolm and Paul Woods as well. Well, tweets aside, Kelty Hearts beat Whitehill Welfare 6-1. There was chances for both teams in the opening 10 minutes. Whitehill perhaps maybe were the better team, I would suggest. 19 minutes played, great play from Ross Much sends Brian Ritchie through. 4 minutes later on the 23rd minute, Ross Much again rips through the Welfare defence to make it 2. 3 minutes later, on the 26th minute, a set play, a Murray Carstairs header, a goal. Murray Carstairs obviously have a bit of goal scoring form as of late for Kelty. 2 minutes later from that, a fantastic play again. Peter Grant comes out for Welfare, and the ball's passed off for Stuart Cargill for the tap-in to make it 4-0. Whitehill Welfare probably had a better second half. And just after the hour mark, Kevin Keane got a bit of a consolation for them. But Kelty, not to be outdone, 2 minutes later, Chris Dodd made it 5-1. And just before the game finished, Murray Carstairs got his second with a low drive from a corner. A comprehensive 6-1 win for Kelty Hearts. And just before we get into the game, I do have an interview with Gary Layton. I'm here with Gaz Layton. How do you think the game went today? Obviously a comprehensive victory over Whitehill.
It went to plan to start with anyway. The first half an hour, 35 minutes, we were absolutely rampant. We were in their face, we were not giving them a minute, we were taking 1-2 touches, we were passing the ball quick, and then I think because we earned the right to get into 4-0, we sort of maybe took our foot off the gas last 10-15. But then it happens like that in these games though, because you get that far ahead, you go into a comfort zone. It shouldn't happen. You try to stay on your game, but it's natural. It naturally happens. But the boys are doing brilliant now. So
good run of form. Spartans next. Obviously they're on a bit of good form as well. How are we going into Ainsley Park?
We'll be going in there to win it. Obviously, there's not a team in this league, or there's not a team we come up against that we don't fancy ourselves winning. We look at each other at training and the tempo at training, the standard, the quality of player we've got a bench there that could potentially walk into any team in that league. It's the competition's unbelievable. So we'll not obviously not be taking Spartans lightly at all. They're a really good side, hard place to go, but we'll be going there for the 3 points.
So Shaun, you were at the game. What were your thoughts on the match?
I think every week we're just seeing Kelty get stronger and stronger. They were pretty clinical in their match play. In Saturday's game, they once Kelty tend to score a goal, that's like most teams when they're at their strongest, and you saw it on Saturday when they knocked 4 goals in 10 minutes. They just got that momentum, and they just completely went crazy off the back of that. There was a lot of uncomfortableness when Barry first came in. There was a lot of changes to the team. I think for the most part, the team's really starting to gel now, and this 6-1 game here, it just showed how well the team's all gelling. It was great to see a mix of players finding the net as well. It wasn't a one person match, a one player match, but Ross Much, he was on fire. He was a standout player. For me, when I was watching it, his pace, Whitehill just really struggled to keep up with him, and he had a say in most of those goals in some way or another.
Absolutely, for me it was unplayable at times, and it's good to see. I mean, I was at the under-20s game on Friday, and it's good to see the likes of Ross, Kieran McCauley get a chance in the first team, and some other boys as well. I think Liam Kelly, Archie Rue have came up from the under-20s and had a bit of chance in the first team. So there's definitely there's definitely been a change in how they've played. Obviously, Chris Dodd coming in and Ross Much as well added pretty much needed pace, I think, out wide for Kelty, and they've definitely changed their approach under Barry Ferguson, and it's starting, as you mentioned, Shaun, it's starting to work out well for them. And they're not playing next week, obviously, but they've got that massive game at Ainsley Park, a week on Friday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they come up against another team in form in the shape of Spartans.
Absolutely. It was great to see Sean O'Neill coming off the bench as well, and Kyle Wilson getting some game time, because they're two people that are going to, I think, have a big impact on the club moving forward.
I think you're pretty bang on with the way that you've explained the whole Barry Ferguson situation, that now that he's beginning to get his stamp on things and the guys know what he's looking to do, it's beginning to work and it's beginning to gel and it's beginning to get fluid for them. So going into next season, they'll be in a position where they know exactly what they want to do. And this bedding in process, even though they did have a wee bit of initial kind of bumps and scrapes trying to get used to it, will do them the power of good, you'd think, going into next season, where, well, Kelty essentially are going to go and try and win the league and get promoted next year, aren't they? That's got to be the aim. Yeah, there's a hell of a run-in sitting there if you're looking on the Kelty side of things. That you've got Spartans, you've got Cumbernauld Colts, and Civil Service Strollers in the 2 East Kilbride games. So talk about an interesting finale to the league campaign. They've got a few right interesting looking fixtures coming up. The flip side of that, though, if we're looking at welfare, this is why we've been saying for weeks now that they had to do something before this run of games, because when you're playing these teams that are hitting their form, and they're just, you're going to find it so much tougher to get points, especially when you've been scraping and losing games the whole season. They've got Gretna up next, which you'd say is probably the last chance saloon, to be honest, because Gretna, then Gala, Fairydean. We've already said that Gala are capable of taking points off anyone, but if they don't get anything off Gretna, I think it's time to plan ahead for the East of Scotland League for them, sadly. But the table doesn't lie at the end of the day. I
was at the Whitehill game against Vale the week before as well, and one thing that stood out for me is, although this is a team that struggled all season, in that Kelty 6-1 game, they at no point did it seem like their heads went down. They kept fighting the whole way through. It's obviously it's a club with a lot of history, and the players, they were still playing like that even in the 90th minute. So credit where credit's due.
Yeah, agreed, Shaun. I think for Whitehill, for me, they looked like from that 10-minute period, they looked like a beaten side in the first half, in my opinion. But come out the second half, they almost, it was a change in character almost. But Kelty, as you mentioned, Mozza, this isn't a game that they were going to look at and think they're going to get anything from it, really, had it been earlier in the season. But now that the fact that they need to go out and win games, I think they've really put gave themselves a hard job, basically. And to my game of the week, everyone was wrong about this one. Yeah. I know Stirling Uni retweeted it, so I might have been a bit of bias there. But Vale Leven versus University of Stirling, it was 1-0 Vale. Quite a remarkable game, actually. 25 minutes played, it was an own goal to put Vale Leven 1-0 up. Liam Ireland, who we praised last week, Mozza, he had a penalty saved by University of Stirling keeper Kevin Walker. Shout out to Chris Geddes, the gaffer got a run out, 65 minutes played. 75th minute played, it was a penalty to Stirling Uni with Ross Gilpin saving, and just before the end of the game it was another Uni penalty and another Gilpin save. So three save penalties. From what I've heard, Stirling, by their own admission, couldn't buy a goal apart from the one they gave to Vale. We've talked about this before, mate. Obviously, for whatever reason, they create a lot of chances, but sometimes they just cannot get a goal.
This is a bit of a freak game, though, isn't it? It's a tale of two keepers who have both played absolutely fantastic football, by the sounds of it. And ultimately, Vale have won it by, from Stirling's admission, a goal they've gifted to them. with just a kind of slip at the back, but a slack defending. But it's a really hard one to give feedback on, I'll be honest, just because it's one of these games when there's so many penalties. I think the only thing you can do is give credit to the keepers and move on to next week and see if they can find other ways of getting the ball in the back of the net, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It was none of the penalties actually went in, so it was the 3 saves. It's like credit to Stirling Uni for their Twitter feed. It's one of the better ones to follow, and they put a lot of videos up. So I'm sure we've all had a chance to see all 3 penalties, and they were saves for the start. They weren't misses, and there was some really good saves. There was one of them that was a rebound, where essentially it was two saves they had to make. One looked like it was going top corner that was saved. The Vale keeper picked up man of the match, and it was well deserved. Absolutely. But like you say, it's not much you can say without focusing too much on the 3 penalties, because 3 saves, that's a lot. I will say though, for Vale, I will say that I did choose them in the polls for winning this one. I had a feeling they might go out and win, so I'm quite happy with that one. But that's them won 3 of the last 4. No, it is. I'll send it. They've won 3 out of 4 games. 3 out of 4 games. They've only been beaten off East Kilbride by 1, which you can't be too upset about that. And they were the only team to move in the league standings on Saturday, leapfrogging the two uni teams. So I think they'll be a really happy side.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into next week's fixtures. There's only 2 Lowland League games, and both of them are quite interesting, given this week Dalbeattie Star at home at Islecroft Stadium again against Spartans. It's going to be difficult for Dalbeattie, but I'm sure the boys will be motivated, having came up against Civil Service and probably been unlucky not to have gotten something. I think that's probably might inspire them, but certainly Spartans on form as well.
Yeah, it's what you see is what you get with this game. Spartans go in heavy favourites. Star will fancy their chances of getting a draw or potentially turning the tables. They do have those 2 boys now suspended for this game, but nobody expects them to take anything out of it, and that's sometimes where they are liable to pick up a point here and there.
It is down at Islecroft, but apart from that, it should just be business as usual for Spartans, I think.
Yeah, brilliant. And kind of almost a similar fixture, Vale of Leven versus Civil Service Strollers. Again, the Edinburgh side making the way down towards the borders. Vale of Leven been fantastic, as you mentioned, Shaun. Civil Service Strollers again pushing for top 4 still. I'm not going to pick a winner. I'd probably go with Civil, but the fact that Vale of Leven have been on a bit of form lately, you can't really back against them, especially at home at Victoria Park.
No, I think it's 2 teams that have got a lot of momentum going into this. I think even if there was a full slate of games on next weekend, this is the one that would stand out. They might not be evenly matched on the league table front, but Civil Service Strollers, they're going to be properly motivated going into this one after that comeback win on Saturday, and likewise Vale you're coming off a great form at the moment, so and I suppose you could give the edge to Civil, but like you say, the fact that they're playing down at Victoria Park, I think that just make it just another added extra to that game that's going to make it a really interesting one.
Yeah, and I don't really have anything else to add to that other than Vale of Leven folks, apologies for Rampant calling you a Borders team again, because we know you aren't.
But I just meant similar fixtures. Inner Leven's not in the Borders.
I'd leave it in for a bit of banter, mate, because that's quite funny.
So, South Challenge Cup action, Bonnyrigg Rose Athletic versus East Stirlingshire. We kind of suspect, I think, that Bonnyrigg might be coming into the league, depending on everything, basically licensing and whatnot, but they're looking really good in terms of top teams in the east of Scotland, and Shire obviously coming into form in the Lowland League. That's one of the more interesting fixtures, I would say, in the cup.
Definitely. And just yesterday, actually, the East of Scotland confirmed the way the kind of championship playoffs going to happen, and they did the draw for it. So now we've got some certainty there. We know Bonnyrigg are more than likely going to be one of the 3 teams in that, and as of just now, they're the team with the strongest record and the strongest form. So they've also got the licensing progress there that it looks like they're going to get their licence in time. So yeah, absolutely. That'll be a really good yardstick to see where they are, because they played against BSC earlier on in the cup campaign, but that was a kind of far weaker BSC team at that point when the injury crisis was on. But Bonnyrigg still looked very good, very kind of strong, imposing side, powerful up front, and they deserve to win that game. So it'll be interesting now that Shire are obviously in a great run, and they're another team that's had a managerial change that are beginning to gel and find their feet. We'll see how it works, but given that I think Bonnyrigg are most people's choice to come up, aren't they? I suspect. So yeah, it'll be a one I'll certainly be keeping my eye on, put it that way.
No, absolutely. It's we can't jump ahead too much and assume that they're going to be in the Lowland League next year, but I think a lot of us are thinking that that's the way it's going to pan out, because they've just been so good this year. If Vale Leithen weren't all the way down in the borders, I'd be going to that game. but no, in all seriousness, it's a long way away. I don't think I fancy making the trip down there. So I think my second choice would be to go along and watch this game, and I think that's what I'll end up doing.
Brilliant. And going into the next fixture, Coldstream versus East Kilbride. I really like Coldstream. I think it's a lot to do with their name. I don't know why. But we've seen East of Scotland teams do well against East Kilbride in cup competitions this season, so we can't really, it's a cup game at the end of the day. We can't really rule out Coldstream, especially at home, but I would imagine East Kilbride will probably go in there. It's another path to perhaps a double this season if you wrap up the league as well. So they'll be going in full guns blazing, I would imagine, to try and win this competition as well.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Coldstream, because they're one of basically the original teams in the East of Scotland before the influx this year, and a real historic name in Scottish football. I just don't see them being able to do anything against EK, even if it is a kind of freshened up Kilbride side that might have a few of the younger kids in or whatever. If they're able to get anything out of that game, it'll be an absolutely massive shock. But good luck to them, because they've got here on merit to this point, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's East Kilbride's game to lose, obviously, but the fact that Coldstream will be inviting them to their home ground for a game, I think it's a good one for their fans, and it'll be a nice game for East Kilbride, I think, as well, going and playing against a team they'll come out with a lot of fight, you would think, in that game.
Yep, going on to our next fixture, it's Socky Juniors versus Hillabeef Hawthorns. I don't really. This is probably the fixture I probably know less about. Hillabeef obviously up there in terms of East of Scotland on teams, but I can't really call this, especially Socky being at home. Certainly.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm actually going to this game this weekend. Thankfully, it's a different public transport route I used to get there, so I will actually make it. But the reason I chose it is you've got two teams that are now East of Scotland teams, having been East Juniors. They've had decent campaigns, the two of them. Hillabeef, arguably a wee bit better, but as a one-off cup game, and it's two sides that, you'd imagine will be very, very competitive, I couldn't really turn it down. I'm quite looking forward to this, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I think it'll be an interesting. It's obviously the most evenly matched game left in the South Challenge, so it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Stirling University versus Lothian Thistle Hutchie Vale. I think we mentioned Hutchie Vale earlier in the cup competitions, Mozza, and I think at the time they weren't getting to the heights that they were last season in terms of the league. I know a lot's changed obviously in the east of Scotland, but they seem to be sort of pressing on a wee bit now. Stirling, obviously they've had an issue a wee bit lately with seeing out wins. It's a cup match, they're at home at Forthbank, so this is another game that I find difficult to call, especially with Hutchie now sort of pushing on a wee bit towards the end of the season.
Yeah, they had a tough start to the season, because I remember us looking at their tables and being a bit surprised with where they were sitting in Conference B. A lot of that had to do with the fact they lost a few of their really good players from last season. If I remember, like, the Kelty picked up one of them and there was a few others went to rival teams.
Yep.
But interestingly enough, when you look at their record in the league this season, they're better as an away team than a home team. So you'd think that sets them up quite nicely for this, going to visit Stirling Uni and trying to... Well, I guess it would still be considered a shock, wouldn't it? But it's probably two teams that are closer than some would expect. And I think they both play a similar standard of football. They try to play possession, passing football that's attractive to watch. So if it all works the right way, it could be a really decent game of football to go and watch as a neutral as well.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and it's credit to the East of Scotland League, and it just shows how close they are to the quality of the Lowland League. They should make the next few seasons really interesting, and it'll be a good game to keep an eye on.
Brilliant, guys. So plug time, I'll let you go first as always, Mozza.
Yeah, no worries. You'll generally find me on most social medias and so on at Mozza Plays, and obviously, because we usually forget to put it into the very end, this particular podcast is at Official Catch Up on Twitter as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm at Rampant FM, obviously, and Shaun, obviously, you run our Facebook page. I think we've got a few likes now. Do you want to plug that?
So yeah, I've started running the Facebook page, just trying to help build up a bit more of a following for both the Lowland League Catch Up and the Lowland League itself. So you can find us on Facebook, and it's just Lowland League Catch Up.
Brilliant. That pretty much brings the end to the episode. We'll be back next week covering them two Lowland League games and of course the South Challenge Cup, and looking ahead also to towards the end of the season, giving our views and whatnot as we always do. We want to thank Michael Park and George Fraser and everyone that listens to us every week, and to the clubs, to the fans, to the players, to the managers that all get involved and support us as well. We'll see you next week.
Till then, tweet responsibly